In this video, we'll discuss some common bash commands. This set of tutorials will tell you the basics of running bash. Bash is a computer program used primarily in Linux where you type in commands and get results out. To run bash on Windows 11, first you need to run the wsl.exe --install command. That will enable you to run the Linux programs on Windows 11. Whenever you want to run bash in Windows 11, first you type in WSL into the Windows PowerShell, and then you'll be prompted with a bash window. To run bash in Linux, Unix, or Mac OS, you'll need to look at your distributions manual. Often, bash is already installed on these machines. The following commands are standard ones in the bash shell. I picked some commands which are able to complement each other, so these are some of the basic ones which will be useful at the very beginning. There are other shells like bash, and these commands will often work without adjustment in these other shells. An example of another shell is called tcsh, similar to bash. After typing in commands by themselves, you might benefit from exploring from other modifications to these commands. For example, there is a command called ls. ls can be modified by adding a -a after it. This is called a flag, and flags are important for adjusting the output of commands or other behavior that these commands make. Let's start with the pwd command. The pwd command lets you know what directory you are in the shell. The acronym stands for Print Working Directory. Here's example code for the pwd command. So you're at the prompt, you type in pwe, and it gives you back a nested list of folders where you are in the file structure. Now let's look at the man command. The man command stands for manual. The man command will open up an electronic manual page inside the shell. Here's example code for the man command. So we type in man space pwd, and we get a description of what the pwd command does. So the whole description is too much to fit on this slide, but this gives you an example of what the man command can output. It's often very helpful to use man space command name, where command name is the name of a program you want to explore. This is a great way to learn about the shell commands. Next, we'll learn about the history command. The history command gives you a list of all the commands you've typed in. The history command data can be deleted by typing in history-c semicolon history-w. Here's an example of the history command. So you type in history and you get all the previous commands that have been typed in. Now let's talk about the touch command. The touch command will make an empty file with the name that you supply to the command. So you say touch space file name, and then file name is created. If the file already exists, there is no change to the file contents. The touch command will update the last access date to the item that you touch. Here's example code. So we're going to say touch foo, touch bar, touch boz. Now let's cover the ls command. The ls command will let you know what files and other objects are in the current directory. There are a few flags which are very common with the ls command, and we'll discuss what these flags mean. Here's some example code. So we type in ls, and then the foo, bar, and boz files that we touched in the last few slides will now occur as files that are empty. So here's a description of 4 of the flags that you can use with ls. ls-a will show hidden objects. ls-l will show object names and permissions. Permissions we'll get to later in subsequent videos. Use ls-r to list the items in reverse order. and use ls-t to sort the files by timestamp. Also, you can use combinations of these flags to get compound effects. Here's a demo of these commands. Now we'll talk about some of the commands we just learned. First, we'll talk about the pwd command. The pwd command stands for print working directory. We can start with the home folder, and then we're in a subdirectory called my user, and that is where all of our files that we're going to make are where they're going to be inside the folder. Next, we can use the man command. So man stands for manual. We can get more information about a command if we're not sure how to use it. So we can say man pwd. This will give us a manual page about the pwd command, which is print working directory. So we can scroll up and scroll down with the arrow keys, and we can press Q to quit. So of course we can also do man to open the manual page about the man command. There are a few more options with this. This is a little bit longer of a page, but it has good information. If you're not sure how to use the command, the man page is generally very helpful. So next, let's cover the history command. The history command shows what all the commands you've typed in the shell, and the history command gives you a list of these most recently typed in commands. To clear the history, you can say history -c history -w, and then we can see that all the history has been emptied. So now let's cover the touch command. So we say touch my file 2. So I just made 2 empty files. Now I can type the ls command to list those files. So we have my file and my file 2. We can keep going. My file 3, and then we have ls my file 2, and my file 3. So now we can play with some of the ls commands. You can look at the manual page of ls by typing in man ls. This one is pretty long. It's got a lot of options. A few of the common ones are ls-l. So this will give more information, like the permissions of the files we made. ls-r. This will print the files in reverse order. ls-a will print hidden files. Hidden files are ones with generally start with period. And then we also have ls-t. ls-t organizes the file by date stamp. And we can combine these together. So we can say ls-ta, and this will combine the effects of ls-t with ls-a. And if we want to print all the flags, we can say ls-alrt, which gives us all this information about hidden files, the timestamps, and the permissions. So ls is a very powerful command. It's got a lot of options, and it can be very useful. So that's all I have for today. If you liked this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Tune in for part 2.